Hi there, welcome to Foodie Fridays. Maggie the Substitute Teacher is not in today, so I am going to be your favorite substitute teacher's favorite substitute teacher. This is FoodTokTV. We have all of our weekly shows on. We all have our same weekly times for our shows. And so Maggie's out, so I'm substituting for Maggie the Substitute Teacher. I got some fun Halloween treats for you today in this cooking show, so you will be able to see some of the cool things. And in the Maggie spirit, I'm going to be doing some substitutes. So today on our spooky Halloween episode today, I'm just putting these away, and don't jump scare, don't freak out, but okay, so these are I'm getting better at decorating them, but I will be making some of these today. We also have some, I'm calling these my bean ghosts. Oh dear, sticking together. But I'm doing meringues, and meringues, they're only made with 3 ingredients. There's going to be eggs and cream of tartar and sugar in there. And with these, we made them without eggs and without the cream of tartar. So what else is there, right? So I used some, we'll get to that here in a second. And then also today, in true Maggie the Substitute Teacher spirit, I'm going to be making a sugar-free vanilla paste using some Swerve sugar replacement. Now, there are some tricks when using this as a sugar replacement when making that. So let's get started on our sugar-free vanilla paste. I did make some earlier with the regular sugar version of it. I'm so excited to have vanilla bean paste. And you know what? Vanilla bean paste is way better than the extract. Way better. I'm going to turn up my music again. Hello, hello. Everybody say hello. Happy Halloween, y'all. Let me know if the music's too loud or if you can't hear it at all. But I was having, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. I had to start when that song was on with that so I could show you guys my spooky ghosts that we're going to be making. The meringues are actually super easy to put together. But the thing is the time that it takes. So we're going to get about 4 to 6 vanilla bean pods. Now, these are the split pods, meaning that they're going to be drier, not as pretty for selling, but they're perfect for making extracts and paste. And so I'm just scraping using the dull end of my knife after cutting these open. Now with the splits, with the cheaper variety, I do have a more difficult time like scraping out the vanilla beans. Oh, it's so satisfying when I can actually get a vanilla bean in there. Oh, smells so good. One of those things that I definitely do not want to be wearing gloves when I'm doing because I want to smell all that fragrant vanilla out there. So welcome in, making this sugar-free or sugar substitute vanilla paste. And I'm also doing this recipe without any alcohol in it. Alcohol is a common ingredient for extract, of course. It's the main ingredient in most extracts. And then in pastes, it's commonly used in pastes because alcohol is a great carrier of the flavor of vanilla. However, we're going to be making a paste without any alcohol in it. And I will be doing it without regular sugar. I'll be doing the sugar substitute. Hello, Fran Diego. How are you doing? You know what? I kind of messed up with this because I didn't mess up with this. I told Fran today that I was going to be emulating my inner Maggie. And so Maggie the Substitute Teacher, she's on Fridays on FoodTokTV at 4. I'm taking over today. But she'll start her thing with something that she hasn't made before. She'll do a recreation of a viral recipe. And it will often include things where she is doing sugar substitutes, gluten substitutes, dairy substitutes. Like she's substituting them all. She's not a substitute teacher because she's teaching in a school. She's substituting for those ingredients. And so I wanted to make a sugar-free version of the vanilla paste. So I will be doing that today. Hello, hello. I love vanilla so much. Love the smell of this. And I made vanilla paste today because I ran out of extract, which extract is often something I love to make because you basically just cut open the vanilla pods and shove them in some alcohol and, wait for it to, become extract. However, with the paste, it's something you can make and you can use that same day. So having a struggle with the peeling of the seeds, but it's okay because I'm putting the pods in with my paste as well. The whole thing is edible with the vanilla pod. The whole thing is edible. It's just the texture is super weird. Hello, hello, welcome in. So I will be doing some other cool things here too, because even though this is a Halloween episode and we're having fun with the Halloween episode, I want to do some cool things that are useful outside of Halloween. But to be fair, all Halloween foods are pretty much useful outside of Halloween because it's just regular food, but arts and crafts. Hey Jet, hey Babs, how are you? Happy Halloween. And y'all, if you don't know my costume, I'm Miss Frizzle. And, you know, I was Miss Frizzle last year, and last year on FoodTokTV when I did my show on Halloween last year. And I was Miss Frizzle last year. And so I was thinking I was going to do something else, but I was dressed up as a Nashville unicorn on my show on Saturday. And then, you know, with this, because I'm substituting for the substitute teacher, I am like, hey, Trudy. So because I'm substituting for the substitute teacher, it's like, why not be Miss Frizzle? Be another teacher. Or in my Chapel Roan-esque quote, your favorite substitute teacher's favorite substitute teacher. So I'm just chopping this up. I'm trying to scrape a lot of these in there, but I'm chopping up vanilla pods. I am making a sugar substitute vanilla bean paste. I think just because you're avoiding sugar and just because you're avoiding alcohol doesn't mean you shouldn't have an amazing vanilla bean paste. Hey there. So when I'm trying to scrape the pods out, I'm going to use the dull end of my knife because if I'm not using the dull end, that's when, you know, I'm just going to make the pod splinter. Which, whatever, it's fine. I'm going to be processing the pod in with it anyway. So, not a big deal if I don't get them all because the whole thing's going in. I'm just trying to get out many of these as I can. How's everyone doing today? Is anybody dressing up? Does anybody still get trick-or-treaters anymore? I don't really get trick-or-treaters. I feel like I'm in a trick-or-treating neighborhood, but then I'll get like one of them. I love working with vanilla pods. I hope it's so fragrant and so amazing. I'm really wanting to do more like vanilla bean paste kind of things for Christmas. Vanilla extract is, I mean, it's a good gift to give to someone as far as making homemade extracts. But paste, you get to use it right away. And then, you know, extract is so 2013. I don't even know what that means. All them beans. Look at that beautiful bean footage. Gated property, so none there. I'll get like one trick-or-treater at the very end of the night when I think it's not happening. I'm not going to use my sharp end. I'm going to use my dull end. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to need like 5 or 6 pods in here. I'm pretty sure I have about 4 or 5. Oh, everyone, you know, trunks or treats at church. You know what? That's probably why I'm not seeing them because I live by so many churches. Like there's 2 churches just right down the road from my neighborhood. Oh, this one's peeling so well. It's so hydrated. Now, when you buy vanilla beans, you can get a lower grade of vanilla beans that are really good for pastes and extracts. But it does make scraping the pods kind of more of a pain because there's less moisture in it. But this one does have a good amount of moisture. So I'm going to just be able to... So satisfying when you get one of those. Oh, yeah. I'm not upset about the fragrance of this. So I've never worked with this Swerve substitute before. Oh, I'm so sorry. I sneezed right in my microphone. That must have been terrible. I'm so sorry. But I've never worked with this Swerve substitute before, but it's something I've had. But I feel like it's something that, like, why wouldn't you want to use that? Or why wouldn't you want to try that if you're a sugar substitute person? Because the sugar one I made actually did a really good job. So I'm hoping. Now, the thing is, though, with the vanilla bean paste, there is a lot of sugar in it. But the artificial or the plant-based sugar that Swerve is, the 0 carb sugar, it doesn't gel the same. So we're going to be playing with some substitutes, some science substitutes today. Y'all welcome in to this. I'm just getting the vanilla bean paste going. Almost done with the slicing here. Getting all these bean pods out. Look at that beautiful bean footage. And you know, this is not going to be the only time I'm working with beans today. You know, if I wasn't the mustard queen, I could be the bean queen. You know, your sneeze was cute. I have a typical dad sneeze. Oh my gosh. It's so funny when there are dad sneezes. I love those sneezes that are just like so, like that just make people stop what they're doing. I'm sure you don't appreciate it the same way as I do, but okay. Those vanilla beans. I scraped out as many as I could. So Ryan was working earlier today, but he actually came home early because he wasn't feeling well. So I'm kind of worried about him. Because, no, it's funny because on FoodTokTV, we do all of our same weekly shows. I'm typically on Saturdays with Ryan. He's not feeling too well, so not sure if he'll be on with me tomorrow. We'll see how he feels after tomorrow. But after this show will be Jesse, Mr. Crown Royal, on at 6:30 p.m. Central. And then the show following that is me again. So I'm like, Jesse, there's only one person in between. Has anybody worked with vanilla bean pods aside from doing extract? Which I love the extract stuff. Love it. Oh, yeah. I'm not upset that my fingers are covered in this. Not upset at all. It smells so good. Is everyone hearing me okay? Is the music loud? Is the music not loud enough? Everyone feeling jived? Feeling jivey? That beautiful bean footage. What am I making? I am doing a sugar-free substitute for vanilla bean paste. Let me show you the kind I did earlier with my non-sugar-free. I'm going to try to make a sugar-free version. Oh, yes. So excited. It's like, this is what it looks like with a not sugar-free version. And so my concern here when I'm doing a sugar substitute for the vanilla paste, because I made vanilla paste earlier because I wanted to make these ghosts and I didn't have vanilla extract. And making vanilla paste, you get the flavor a lot quicker than making extract. So the thing is with the sugar-free version, the sugar-free sugar doesn't gel as well. So we'll be adding some xanthan gum and see if we can make that work. Very, very strong. So, so good. I love using this in my baking rather than vanilla extract. Ha 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 ha. I still have some vanilla bits on here. I want to make sure I get them. Okay, so this is my sugar substitute. It's Swerve. We're going to give this a shot. It's a plant-based sugar. And you know, what's weird and something that I learned, or like I've learned working with vegan cooking, is that most white sugars are going to be colored white with animal char. So this is also a vegan sugar, which I didn't realize. Like, why is white sugar colored with animal char? Enjoying herbs. Hello there. What's up, Rick? Oh yeah, this is a very cakey one. Because as I said, I don't really use this. So I do know that we can reduce the clumps with this by microwaving it. I'm not sure if I still want to use this one for my sugar-free. I really wanted to emulate her. You know what I'm going to do? Because oftentimes when things clump like this, it's because of the moisture added to it. So what I'm going to do is, that's the amount I want. And we'll pop it in the microwave for 30 seconds and I'll get a chance to clean up. There we go. Yep, when things clump like that, it's because of moisture. So we'll microwave it out. So from what I've been seeing, everyone's has either already celebrated Halloween or is just kind of Halloweened out. Where are you at? Have you already celebrated, or are you going to celebrate something this weekend? Hello, hello. Hey, Adelinda. Hey, Babs. Hey, Rick. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I'm going to be making some spooky treats, and I love making spooky treats for Halloween, but my thing is, too, is I want a little bit more than just arts and crafts. You know, there we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. This is the sugar-free sugar, the Swerve plant-based replacement. Oh, yeah. And just microwaving it for a bit is going to help me get those flakes out. So let's heat up on our stove. I'm just going to do this real quick. I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of water. I'm really not doing much water here. So just a 1/4 cup. We're going to let that heat. And then we have some of our Swerve sugar, some of the plant-based low-carb sugar. So I'm going to save some of this. Here we go. And then we'll go ahead and let that melt in here along with the vanilla pods. And that's all I'm adding to it, is that 1/2 cup of the Swerve replacement and then those vanilla beans I just chopped up, and along with the pods and everything. We're going to let this go low and slow. Now I did reserve some of the Swerve right here. Okay, so this is some more like food sciencey stuff. Not super food sciencey, but this is xanthan gum. And now xanthan gum, this is what I would consider to be a lifetime supply. And it's not a lifetime supply because I don't really work with it a whole lot, but just a little bit goes a long way. Like more than an eighth of a teaspoon is too high of a measurement for xanthan gum here. And so what happens when it's a very good thickener, it really, really thickens things up when you're adding it to a sauce. Like you can just thicken up water doing this, right? Mixing it in there. However, whenever you use xanthan gum directly in water, the entire surface area of the particle will immediately become hydrated and then it will harden. And so it lumps super easy. So what we do to prevent the lumping is we either mix it a little bit with something that's non-water based, like a little bit of oil or something, just to like, you know, zhuzh it up and then introduce it to that. Or what we're going to be doing is putting a little bit in with the sugar. And what that's going to do is that the sugar particles are kind of going to, they're going to come over the xanthan particle. And so as it kind of like coats that, then when it's introduced to water, it's not going to like immediately lump because the particle is going to have sides of it that aren't going to be immediately touching water. Hope that made sense, but we just have to introduce the xanthan gum with something that's not water to prevent any lumps. Yeah, so very similar to working with like sugar and stuff like that. So I'm going to let this simmer. This is on a very low temperature right here. I'll bring you guys over here. Happy Halloween. Welcome in. So we have our sugar substitute, our water. So a 1/4 cup of water to 1/2 cup of the Swerve sugar. And then here is like a teeny tiny little bit of xanthan gum that's tossed with some more of that sugar that we'll add to this later. So then when that's done simmering, we'll just give it a time to simmer and stuff. And then we'll process it and boom, vanilla paste. Sugar-free vanilla paste is what we're going for. So the reason why I had to make that paste is because I wanted to make some of these. Sorry for my tap, 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 y'all. Thank you for the taps. We already have almost 6K taps, y'all. Thank you so much. And if you're not following FoodTokTV, please do. You can go to our website and check out our schedule and recipes because we go live every single day with different food shows. So I had made the vanilla bean paste just so I can make these little ghosts. I'm still working on my chocolate art over here. So, but the beautiful part of this is that there's no eggs. And typically with meringues, it's just the eggs, cream of tartar, and sugar. And so we're not doing it with the eggs and we're not doing it with cream of tartar, weird enough. So what I will be doing this with, more bean footage. We got more bean footage, y'all. So these are chickpeas. Now, what we are doing with the egg, instead of egg whites, we are going to be substituting some of these chickpea juice, the chickpea juice. So the idea is that some of the same proteins that are in beans also exist in eggs. And so when the beans cook, some of that protein exists in this water. So that's why it can like fluff and aerate like eggs can. And so it can be a really good egg substitute. So into this, my little container. You know, I had measured this out earlier and I eyeballed the measurement and it did really well, but I think I would appreciate. Okay, there we go. So with the Aquafaba, and I've done Aquafaba with baking. I've done, instead of eggs, I've done it with baking. It's also common in cocktails where you shake some of the Aquafaba in with a cocktail so you get that foamy result. Because you know what foam is? One of my favorite things to talk about. Foam is an emulsion. I never had thought about foam as an emulsion, but think about it. An emulsion is two things that don't really want to get along, but we're forcing them to get along, right? And then with foam, it's air and water that's trying to be a stable thing. So as what we're going to do, I have my KitchenAid mixer back here with a whisk attachment on there. And so this by itself, when I do that whisk attachment and just leave it, it's going to incorporate air into it. And it's going to keep, you know, making it rise and kind of look like whipped cream. But if I don't have some sort of acid, then it's not going to stabilize. It's going to fall flat. Cream of tartar is typically the way to go here, but I didn't feel like going to the store for that. So I will be doing this with some good old-fashioned lemon juice because the point of it is that it's just like a high acid that we're doing. I also considered trying to do this with citric acid. I decided to get rid of all my measuring cups and spoons that I wasn't a huge fan of, and now I can't find any of my measuring cups and spoons. All right, so we got my bean juice, and I'm going to do half of a teaspoon of lemon. So this recipe calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, so we're doubling that with a 1/2 teaspoon. So boom. So here, I'm going to take y'all along with me over here. So all I have is my bean juice and my lemon in here, my high acid. So I'm going to put this over into here, and then that's the whisk attachment that I'm talking about, and we'll just let it go. Now you could do it by hand. You can do a handheld electric mixer. This is just going to make sure I don't mess with it. There are some other conversations too where people will either heat up and this is the same process with the egg whites. And some people will either heat up the Aquafaba or heat up the egg whites just to kind of get the molecular structure a little bit more loosened up so it will foam up more, but not necessary. Wasted step. But with that Aquafaba, with the juice left over from the beans, I do a lot of aiolis and things like that too. So we're going to start low and slow and keep it going. Love the Science Ever show. Thank you. I love it. And emulsions are one of my favorite sciencey things to talk about. It's just one of those, like, you know, forcing two things to belong together that don't belong together. It's intriguing. Now, don't try and do that to my own personal life or anything, but okay. So here is the sugar substitute, the vanilla bean paste. I'm really hoping that it works out very similarly to the sugar version of this. But with the sugar version of it, regular sugar, it gels. See how this is like jelly? This is the regular sugar version. I'm trying to make a sugar-free version. Since this doesn't gel, we're going to try with the xanthan. So tune in, tune in. We have that KitchenAid mixer on a low. Let's see if we can bring it up a little bit. Get it nice and going, nice and going. So while I am waiting for that to go, while I'm waiting for this to heat up, let's do a quick Halloween treat. And I had to do this for you guys. I was so obsessed for this. It is just a quick, simple thing. I knew I would have time in between waiting for the meringue to whip. and for, oh, there we go. Waiting for the meringue to whip and for my sugar-free syrup. I'm sorry, not my sugar-free syrup, my sugar-free vanilla bean paste. Because I'm Taylor, I'm not Maggie the Substitute Teacher. She is typically in on Fridays at 4 p.m. I'm taking over her show today because she is out. So welcome in, and you can see me again on tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central, where I will be on with my husband Ryan and where we will be doing the tailgate cooking show. So this next one, it's going to be kind of like a healthier take on a Reese's Cup from what I hear. If you weren't here earlier, you'll see the Halloween twist to this. You'll absolutely love it. It's definitely a Halloween twist, but I think this is very tasty on its own. So medjool dates, I absolutely love these for soaking them, and you can make your own caramel just by like soaking them and processing. So good. So these are typically pitted. You can also buy them not pitted, but it's not too hard to just remove the pit. Not a terrible thing to just remove the pit. And so this will be just like a quick little, you know, healthy snacky thing. Kind of a take on a healthy Reese's Cup here. And you know what? Even though it's a very Halloween themey food, I think I'm going to try this on a day that's not Halloween. So removing those. There we go. I think I'm going to skip these two. I just need this amount. It'll be fine. You'll see. You'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, I just saw my husband in here. Hello. So can you guys hear me okay, or is my KitchenAid too loud? Is my KitchenAid too loud? I will do something about moving it into another thing if you can't hear me through this. Let me know. Oh, thank you for the pop you're eating with Andrew. So for my healthier Halloween treat, I'm just filling the inside of my dates with some peanut butter. Y'all, I love dates. They're just so naturally sweet. I love a good date caramel. So it's fine. It's there, but it's fine. Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm hoping that I get through this quickly. So I was kind of hoping that my microphone would be strong enough, but so we're getting these super sweet dates, filling them with peanut butter, and then for the Halloween twist, we are going to decorate these with some melted chocolate. Oh wow, this is absolutely nuts. I had made this same one earlier just to make sure that it would come exactly together with the recipe. I wonder if I can get Ryan in here to move the KitchenAid into the other room. All right. Okay, so it's looking okay. We'll give this a little break. We're just waiting for it to continue foaming up. The acid is going to help keep that foam up for a meringue. And then soon enough, when it peaks up a bit more, we'll start adding our sugar to it. So I'm so sorry about the loud noise, guys, with that, but it will be good. Okay. That sounds less threatening. So I'm going to melt some of my little chocolate that I have in the piping bag, but what we are going to do, we are going to cover the bottoms of these with some melted chocolate. We're going to give them some legs, and then they just like not look too real. Like this is too much. I haven't tried these yet, but that's what we're doing right here with the dates, peanut butter, and chocolate. That does not taste like the healthy version of anything. Wow. So when I was decorating earlier, I saw this recipe of this girl who made these, and she had melted her chocolate directly into her piping bag. And I'm like, holy crap. It's genius. Just directly in the piping bag, because I also consider when I'm thinking about the cooking times of things, I'm also thinking about the cooking time, or not the cooking time, I'm sorry, the cleaning time of the dishes. So I'm going to do a little zigzag over here and place them down. And I want to space these really well, so that way we can have plenty of room to make them legs. Y'all, I cannot get over how tasty that was. It really did taste like a peanut butter cup. Yeah, I thought the same. Hey, Daphne, how are you? Daphne is a Food Talk TV creator. She is on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Love the 4 p.m. gang, 4 p.m. club, because we have a show on Food Talk TV Monday through Saturdays at 4 p.m. Central. And I am today's show, and then I am tomorrow's show. But yeah, this is the first time I thought about just melting the chocolate directly in the piping bag. And that made it seem way more attainable to me than pulling out losing my train of thought here, than pulling out a double broiler or just microwaving it and stirring it. I don't have to clean the dish. So let's come back over and check on the vegan meringue that we're doing, because we're doing meringues made with bean water. And so see how it is puffing up. All we did was 6 tablespoons of Aquafaba, which is the chickpea liquid. Now, Aquafaba can come in any form of legume, but chickpea is going to be the one where you don't taste it. And then I also did a ½ teaspoon of lemon juice. Cream of tartar is the professional baking thing to do, but I was not going to the store. So now that's puffing up. We're going to let these firm up a bit, and we'll finish up on our date roaches. Absolutely love it. Oh gosh, I have a funny story about dates too. I'm going to measure out some of my sugar real quick. This is a separate thing of sugar that I keep inside my pantry. So whenever I use the inside of vanilla bean pods, I scrape out the insides whenever I need vanilla beans for something. And then I just let my sugar sit in it. So just like the aroma is so good. So, so good. And then I'm going for 7 tablespoons. I had my grams written out somewhere for it. 75 grams. There we go. I think the reason I can't find any of my measuring things is because I decided I was going to switch to weight. And I do that most of the time, but switching to it full time is a different thing. So I'm going with 75 grams of sugar. This one's going to be my vanilla sugar because it's been sitting in with the pods. Love it. Yes, I'm Miss Frizzle today. Miss Frizzle, I am your favorite substitute teacher's favorite substitute teacher, because on Fridays on Food Talk TV is typically Maggie the Substitute Teacher. And she does a bunch of stuff with gluten substitutes, sugar substitutes, dairy substitutes. And for me, I'm just substituting the substitute teacher. So let's come, Heather. We're going to do this together, okay? So we're just going to see how it's like really peaky. And what I mean by strong peaks is that we're going to... What is that? Oh my goodness, that's a hair of mine. Y'all, anytime my hair is not up in a ponytail and people will say, oh, well, your hair will fall on the food. It does it anyway. It does it anyway. Okay, sorry about that. So, super peaky, holds its shape. And because we put an acid in here, it will continue to hold its shape. If we didn't add that acid, it would deflate super quickly. So we're going to bring it back up to a high mixer. We have 75 grams of the sugar, and we'll just put a little bit at a time. Now, I did look up, because we're doing the Swerve sugar substitute on this sugar-free vanilla paste that we are working on. Now, you could use a Swerve substitute into this meringue, but you would want to go for a powdered version. So that way it can dissolve into this bean liquid, into the bean liquid. These are bean meringues. Hey there. Just a little bit at a time, maybe higher. Oh yeah, and we'll let that go, and then we will prepare for baking our spooky ghosts. Because y'all, I'm making some vegan meringues, and look how cute they turned out when I made these earlier. Little spooky ghosts. They're super nice and crispy. I have my Swerve simple syrup, or I'm sorry, my Swerve vanilla paste that I'm doing with the sugar-free thing here. And the way I'm making it sugar-free with here, I'm doing the Swerve replacement, but I have to use some xanthan gum that I've tossed in with some of the sugar. And then, yeah, because the Swerve sugar does not gel like regular sugar. So let's continue on with my roaches. I'm having fun with, I'm getting better at my piping ever since I've, well, I guess every time I pipe, I get better at my piping, but making these roaches. If you would have asked me at the beginning of this week if I was going to be an expert at decorating candy roaches, I don't know, you might have convinced me that was true. I love Halloween food because it's like regular food, but just arts and crafts. Look at that. Ah! Love it. I'll continue decorating these too. Let's see how. Ah! Can you believe that this is meringue from bean liquid? You know what I didn't do though? I didn't add any of my vanilla in here. I didn't realize that until I just now tasted it. And that was the whole reason why I'm making this vanilla too. So I'm actually just going to pour a little, you know what? I'll use some of my bean paste from earlier because that's warm. I'm curious how speckled it comes out with vanilla paste as opposed to using the vanilla extract. Y'all welcome in. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Halloween. I know you could be doing so many different fun activities, and instead you're watching me doing fun activities because I'm making some Halloween treats. This is the vanilla paste that I'm trying to emulate because you know what? Vanilla extract is so 2020, right? So 2020. Okay, there's some speckles in there, but it's fine. I have some without speckles, but I think whenever things are speckled with vanilla, they're way tastier. So I'm preheating my oven to 250. We're not going for hot oven at all. And you know what's crazy about these is they take so long to, or it's going to be a 45-minute bake time. And then we are going to, it's a 45-minute bake time. And then we're going to leave it, like turn off the oven, leave it closed, leave it in there for 45 minutes. But y'all, I'm going to have to let you hear how crispy they come out. Like it's just so airy and crispy. It's perfect. So it's worth the time, but at least most of it is in action. Thank y'all so much for joining us on FoodTokTV. Appreciate you tapping the screens and sharing lives and hanging out with us. And, you know, if you really like me, you might like me with my husband as well. We'll be on tomorrow at 4. Look how sturdy that is. For a vegan meringue where I'm not using cream of tartar, but I use lemon juice instead, heck yeah. Heck yeah. This is fun. stiffer piping bag than what I typically work with, but it's a reusable one, so. Oh, there we go. This is a parchment paper kind of day with my little roachies over here. And then we're going to get another little parchment paper over here with some ghosts. Love parchment paper. Love it. So let's move this on my other board. I don't typically cook for the show inside. I used to do my indoor cooking show all the time, but it's gotten to the point to where Ryan and I are always outside when we cook. Whew. I also need to get more parchment paper. You've been looking for rice paper and you can't find it. I've always bought mine at the international markets, but I know that they have some at the regular grocery stores too with rice paper. Oh, are you talking about for last week's Maggie's thing? Because last week Maggie did these gluten-free pizza roll snacks where she used rice paper to do that. There we go. Got some of our meringue. There we go. Let's get some ghosts. So I've played around with this when I made these earlier, and they are a bit with the aquafaba and the cream of tartar rather than using, or I'm sorry, aquafaba and lemon rather than using the cream of tartar. These kind of fell when they were in the oven, and I was kind of disappointed, not gonna lie, but they ended up being super cute anyway. I'll have to try these with cream of tartar to see how they go. What's good and easy to sell at a farmer's market? Depends on what you like to sell. Now, depending on your state, you could get into the condiment business because a lot of states are really lax about, you know, condiments that don't require refrigeration. So that's one. Maybe spice mixes or candies or, ooh, those lemonade stands at farmers markets. Y'all, I can't believe this is just bean juice, lemon, and sugar. Bean juice, lemon, and sugar. Oh, yeah, and a little vanilla paste. So that's why you're seeing the little specks in there if you do. Oh, yeah, I love those lemonade stands at the farmer's market. Oh, this is fun. I still have more in here. So we've got the ghosts. We've got... I'm going to just fill her up and finish up these ghosts. So it'll be a 45-minute bake time, and then we're going to turn off the oven and leave them in there. Whew. Try to not all come out at the top. There we go. There's air trapped in between here. I'm going to clear that out real quick. There we go. Baking's easy, I think. It's the not making a mess and having things measured ahead of time that get me. Oh, yeah. So these are the spooky vegan ghosts. Thank you for joining me with my second Halloween show on FoodTokTV. Earlier this week, I was with Ryan on the tailgate. It was last Saturday. It was our Halloween show for that. And I was just looking at my costumes, and I saw a unicorn one, and I'm like, ooh, I'll just be a unicorn. And then I'm in the city of Nashville, so I'm like, oh, I'm a Nashville unicorn. Because, you know, every time people will be like, where are you from? I'm from Nashville. Oh, you're a unicorn. I'm pretty sure that's a thing in all major cities. I'm not sure. Y'all let me know. Yeah, just aquafaba, the bean juice, some sugar, and lemon. I'm going to try and make some of these taller, but because I'm using the aquafaba and not cream of tartar, but I'm using lemon, these do tend to fall a little bit in baking, but I am okay with it. And y'all, this does not taste like bean liquid. I'm like, so excited. 250, the oven's on at 250. I'm going to leave it in here for 45 minutes. And then at the end of that 45 minutes, I'm turning off the oven, and then I'm not even going to mess with it for an hour. But when they come out of the oven after an hour, as you can see with some of these, I had made these earlier, the exact same recipe. I did the exact same recipe, except I did a little bit of vanilla extract rather than the paste. But like, they do kind of fall and don't hold their structure, but they're like, it's like so airy and crispy. And that's the result you want. You want something light and crispy. You do that. And that was just, I don't know why I'm crunching it over there when my microphone's right here. Let's see if I can get you a crispy mic. But yeah. And you can make these any time of year. It doesn't have to be Halloween. But it is Halloween, so we're going to draw little ghost faces on them, and we're going to finish decorating these dates to look like roaches. And because I have just been adding more chocolate chips to this, and I've been decorating with it all day. I've just been adding more chocolate chips and microwaving it for 30 seconds directly in the piping bag, and that is probably my best tip of this entire show. So while that is heating back up too, this is my take on vanilla paste where I use a sugar substitute. The problem we have with that is that sugar doesn't want to, or the sugar substitute doesn't want to gel like regular sugar does. So what we did instead, we're going to blend this super high, and I'm going to put everything in here. But what I have on the side is some xanthan gum that I tossed with some of the sugar substitute. Because when when xanthan gum, it's the thickener. And once it touches water, the entire thing just hardens up because it's touched on all sides of the particle. Now, when you toss it with something like sugar, when you mix it with some oil, you're kind of giving it a prevention. So it's not immediately coated with water and it won't immediately harden. So we have that sugar-free vanilla situation in here, the sugar-free vanilla, and yeah, that's all I added to that. So it was the water, the sugar, and the Swerve. Everything's going to go into the high heat. I may even need to add a little bit more water to it, too. It's a hot pan, so I'll add a little bit of water from here to it. I feel like I'm going crazy because I know I just had that. I probably already. I used it. I had put my xanthan gum in the sugar. I'm like, did I do that step? And yes, I absolutely did. So in here, we're just going to blend it real quick, and we'll see if we get something similar to the sugar paste. Abracadabra. That is a loud blender. Thank you all so much for joining me on FoodTokTV today for Halloween and enjoying all these yummy snacks. These are the ones that I baked earlier of the vegan bean juice meringues, and they are so freaking tasty. And all I'm doing them to make them Halloweeny, because Halloween food is just regular food with arts and crafts. Adding eyes. And then with the dates over here, we had split the dates in half and we had pitted them, removed the pits from there, and then filled the inside with some peanut butter. And we're using the melted chocolate to give these roach heads and some antenna. Oh, now this is a tricky one though, because of course, when this chocolate hardens up, that's when it wants to be a bit fragile. So I want to make sure my legs have a good foundation. Isn't that so cute, guys? Y'all, I'm not even gonna I'm gonna make these year round. I don't care if they're in the shape of roaches. But with the date, which is just so naturally sweet, and you can make your own caramel just by, soaking dates in hot water and then processing it. But dates filled with peanut butter. So I filled the inside of it and then put some peanut butter on the bottom or putting some melted chocolate on the bottom before pressing it. And now we're adding it some chocolatey legs. Now I have seen other ones where people use dates for the whole roach effect too, but they'll take a little sliver out of the date, because the texture of the date, it does look very roachy. So a lot of people cut slivers of it and make those the legs, but this feels a little more chocolatey. Oh. Definitely wanting to make sure that we pace them far apart, because I feel restrained in my roach legs. Not a sentence I thought I would be doing on a cooking show. Restrained on my roach legs. Welcome in, y'all. This is Cutting the Mustard, my pop-up cooking show. We do weekly cooking shows on FoodTokTV multiple times a day. And the next show on FoodTokTV is at 6:30 p.m. Central. Now, I am on the tailgate on Saturdays, but I'm taking over for Maggie today. So that way we could have a 4 p.m. Halloween show. This is fun. I love Halloween food, arts and crafts. Can you turn something into eyeballs? Taylor rocks vegan cooking. Thank you. And I'm not a vegan. I just, one thing that I love about vegan cooking, it's more about the science of it, because you're working so hard to create a very similar result with a bunch of handicaps. So I love vegan cooking for that reason. It's just it's smart cooking. But then there are so many things that are accidentally vegan anyway. Like these. These do not taste I went out of my way to make them plant-based. But I went out of my way to make them not look plant-based with the roachy effect. I went out of my way. Now, I do have a ton of chickpeas. Speaking of vegan cooking, I do have a ton of chickpeas because I made these meringues. I made the meringues with the Aquafaba, the bean liquid, instead of eggs. That's what I used. So now I have all these chickpeas left over that I have to do something with. And so I've been having this idea. I don't know if Ryan would want to do it tomorrow for the tailgate, but you know how the smash burger tacos are really popular? And we had a show on the tailgate a couple weeks back where we did chicken Caesar smash burger tacos. And I've even seen, but my idea with that though is to use the chickpeas and do a falafel smash taco. I want a falafel smash taco. So maybe Ryan will be in the mood for that, especially since I've opened up so many cans of chickpeas just to get the liquid. Oh, I think I did the wrong side. with this. But yeah, the thing I will take away from this activity today for sure, is microwaving my chocolate chips directly into the bag. Like, that is changed my game on how I decorate things with melted chocolate. So fun with the Roachies. I think this is just like making pancakes, where it's like once you get the hang of it, that's when you're done making pancakes. So much of my food is like that. Or like any activity, really. All right. Last little Roachy. We're giving it a little head. And we're giving it little legs. Little chocolatey, delicious legs. But I'm trying to make it thin, but also thick enough to where it won't want to break when I take it off the parchment. There we go. And y'all, no added sugar to it. It's just the dates split in half, filled with peanut butter. And y'all, these were the completed ones after they've gotten a chance to harden and they come out. Like, I had filled them with the peanut butter underneath. See what I mean, though? Like with the legs being super fragile. So you do want to be careful when you send that out. But like, is that not way too creepy? But like, this is one of my favorite things I've made, though. Like, love it. The dates are so naturally sweet with the peanut butter and the chocolate. Reese's Cup. The key is to not look at it when you eat it. So we can either let these sit at room temperature. My house is kind of warm today. It's not super chill in here, so I might have to put these in the fridge or the cooler just so everything hardens up super well. And then we have our little bean ghosts. Our little bean meringues that you can make into ghosts, or you can just make them meringues for any other time of year you just want a meringue. But I like the scary. The little bit of chocolate on here does add a lot of flavor. Absolutely. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to split up the blender time so I can finish that up with the sugar-free paste, because, you know, Maggie isn't here, but she always offers some great substitutes, and that's something I want to do today, was offer some substitutes. So any sort of things like this, no eggs. We did beans. With this, we use the sugar-free sweetener rather than regular sweetener for that. So I like to say I was a bit of a substitute teacher today. And I'm Miss Frizzle from the Magic School Bus. So I'm very substitute teacher today. Ooh. There we go. It needs some more water, so I'm just adding water to my pan and rinsing that. I just want to see if this will help. Okay, I'm so sorry, guys, because the whole point of me making that is for a substitute. I want to see if it works. I'm so sorry. It's almost done. Please, please, please stick around. I know it's loud. I know it's scary. I don't like the noises either. La, 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 la. I'm so sorry. Thanks for pulling through for me, guys. Thank you for hanging out. I know we don't like the loud machines. I get it. But it's a lot better than me trying to get a knife and trying to like chop it up myself. Absolutely not happening. Oh, okay. I feel like it could use a little bit more processing, but this looks very similar to what I made earlier, where I use, but this is with the xanthan gum rather than letting the sugar gel naturally. But that's actually gelling quite well for not doing that. Impressive. I will have the recipe up for this, and I will make sure it's properly blended. But let me get a little sample Actually, yeah. Just so I can let you guys go because we do have other shows coming up later. I want to finish properly blending that. But as far as flavor, it's perfect. I love it. I love it. No, that was a good substitute. That was a good substitute because regular sugar does not gel or regular sugar gels. The sugar substitutes don't gel. So we were wanting the paste that does this. So we used xanthan gum, teeny tiny bit of xanthan gum because the amount of xanthan gum I own is a lifetime supply. This is what I consider a lifetime supply, and it's not because I don't cook with it ever. It's just like a teeny tiny little smidgen, but I tossed it in with some of the sugar so it wouldn't lump in here. And that's what we're using to thicken up, and it's kind of getting that little silky texture in there. All right. I did want to blend that and have that like prepared and ready for you guys, but I know with those noises, what do you think? Love the vanilla paste. I am never going to be making vanilla extract as a gift for anybody ever in my life again. And I know it's all the rage and it's super cool. And I'm not knocking you if that's something that you enjoy doing, your family looks forward to. But vanilla paste is the 2025 gift. That's it. So I'll have these vanilla paste recipes. I'll have the sugar one and I will have the non-sugar one as well. Some sugar has bone char. Yes, I do know that. I do know with the Swerve sugar replacement, that one's a plant-based one. I'm so glad you know that. That's one of my most random, like, how is that not vegan situations is the sugar. Yeah, so you have to get the organic sugar or one that's not super processed because the bone char is used to make that white. But yeah, thank y'all so much for joining me where I accidentally made a vegan show with roaches and these little bean meringues. I'm calling them bean meringues because the bean juice. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me on Food Talk TV. And y'all, guys, I did a show on Food Talk TV and I've only been on an hour and I'm done. Now, to be fair, I didn't bake these on live. This was decorating and I'm, to be fair, but I had a lot of fun with this science-y show. I had a lot of fun learning about new ingredients and new techniques. I absolutely love it. Of course, I can't take the place of Maggie the Substitute Teacher, but, I'll just settle for being the substitute for the substitute teacher. All right. Y'all stay tuned. 6:30 p.m. Central. Thank you, Babs. Thank you, Jet. Thank you, guys. And stay tuned. 6:30 p.m. Central. That's going to be Mr. Crown Royal with Grill and Chill. And then following that, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central, it's me again, but with the tailgate. And I'll be with my husband cooking tailgating food. So I'll still be sciencey tomorrow, but thank y'all so much. Happy Halloween. I will see y'all next time, and happy mustarding, my friends. Oh, thank you, Fran. Thank you, Babs. Thank you, everyone. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Happy mustarding, my friends.